Hey all, I'm Steve, 36. So a few years ago, I got hitched to Tina, and you know what they say, when you marry someone, you're also stuck with their mom. In my case, that's Naomi, my mother-in-law. Now, I'm cool with family stuff, but Naomi was a pro at pushing my buttons and making me doubt myself. It felt like I was trapped in an endless loop of her nagging and insults. Yikes, right? But hey, love can make you do crazy stuff, and I love Tina like crazy. So I put up with all the Naomi drama and kept my cool. I was determined not to let her toxic vibes mess up our relationship. Tina was totally worth it. As time went by, though, I noticed a change in Tina. She started acting distant and withdrawn. It was obvious that something wasn't right. So one evening, while we were snuggled up on the couch, I finally got the courage to talk to her about it. Hey, babe, I've noticed you've been a bit distant lately. Is everything all right? So there I was, sitting with Tina, and I could see she was struggling. Her eyes looked all frustrated and sad at the same time. After a moment of hesitation, she let out a sigh and started talking. Steve, I love you, but I can't help but feel like something is missing in our relationship. Man, my mind was going crazy, trying to figure out what she was saying. It was like a tornado inside my head, trying to make sense of her words. I racked my brain for potential problems, but for the life of me, I couldn't figure out what she was talking about. So then I asked, what do you mean, babe? I thought we were solid. Steve, it's just, I don't feel the same respect for you as I used to. I miss the days when we were on top, when the money was flowing, and we had it all. I know it sounds shallow, but it's how I feel. I was used to a certain lifestyle, and now, I don't know. What the hell? Her words hit me hard. I'm not going to lie. I couldn't believe it had come to this point. Was our love all about money and success? It made me so mad, hurt, and confused all at once. Are you kidding me, babe? Money isn't everything. Our love should be about more than just how fat my paycheck is. We've got something real and unique here, something that goes way beyond material stuff. What are you talking about? I know, Steve, but I can't help the way I feel. I miss the security, the lifestyle we had before. It was like a back and forth of emotions, love and frustration all mixed up. But no matter how much we talked, we couldn't seem to get on the same page. As the night dragged on, it hit me that our marriage was hanging by a thread. I couldn't handle her shallowness. Like, seriously. I didn't even know who I was talking to anymore. Love is about supporting and understanding each other through thick and thin, you know? Everything went downhill after that. Over time, I got fed up with Tina's materialistic mindset. Love changes, and I realized my feelings for her were different now. The spark we once had was gone, and money or things couldn't fill that void. With that new realization, I stopped holding back when it came to Naomi's mistreatment. Oh boy, was I ready to fight back, and let me tell you, things got intense. We'd end up screaming at each other whenever we crossed paths. We were all sitting around the dinner table. It was supposed to be a peaceful family dinner. Ha! Peace was nowhere to be found. The tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife, and it felt like everyone was waiting for a huge explosion. Naomi took a sip of her wine, her eyes fixated on me. Steve, dear, I'm sorry to sound so crass, but when are you going to get your act together? I don't see any progress in your career, and it's time you step up and provide for my daughter. Well, I see the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. In case you didn't get the memo, Naomi, love and respect aren't things that can be bought and sold. I may not have stacks of cash, but I've got a heart full of love and dedication. That stuff is worth way more than any amount of money. Isn't that what truly matters? And it's not like we're swimming in poverty either. You all need to grow up. Oh, she was really mad after I said that. Oh, that's rich coming from you. You're the one who needs to grow up, Steve. Love won't pay the bills. Love won't pay for groceries. Yeah, love is important, but come on, Steve, don't be delusional. In this economy, a man is nothing if he doesn't have more than enough money. Our fights got crazy intense, each one full of bitterness and resentment. We were throwing words at each other like daggers, tearing apart our already wonky relationship. I won't get into all the nitty-gritty, but it was way out of control. I might have said some seriously harsh stuff that even makes sailors blush, but I didn't care. I was tired of her crap. One day, Tina took me aside and I could see she was so confused and hurt. Her eyes said it all. Honestly, I was surprised at her confusion. She should have seen this coming with the way she and her mother were treating me. Steve, why are you treating my mom this way? She's only looking out for our best interests. You need to stop acting so rude. It's getting out of hand. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what I was about to say. Tina, I gotta be real with you now. The truth is, I don't feel the same love for you anymore. I mean, who are we kidding? Our marriage has turned into this messed up fight over money and lack of respect, and it seems like we won't ever get on the same page. I think we should get a divorce. Steve, you can't be serious. We've built a life together. What about our dreams? What about me? Tina, dreams change. People change. I can't keep living a lie, pretending that everything is fine when it's not. We both deserve to find our happiness. And since I can't provide that to you, I think it's best we just call it quits. I hope there's no bad blood. It's just, I can't handle this anymore. And just like that, the bomb dropped. It hit us like a ton of bricks. Everything just fell apart. Our marriage just crumbled, leaving behind a mess of broken promises and shattered hopes. We had to face the truth that it was time to go our separate ways and find our happiness. Tina and I, well, let's just say things had taken a turn for the worse between us. The tension was thick enough to cut with a steak knife, and every interaction felt like a dance on broken glass. So we both agreed that it would be best if I packed my bags and found a new place to crash while the divorce proceedings unfolded. Trust me, folks, it was the smartest move we could make to avoid any more unnecessary awkwardness. We needed some breathing space, a chance to untangle ourselves from the mess we had created and figure out how to move forward. It wasn't an easy decision, but sometimes you have to take a step back to gain clarity, right? So there I was, living in my own little slice of freedom, separate from Tina, when out of the blue I received a message that turned my world upside down. It was a message from a distant relative, a great uncle I hadn't heard from in years. The message stated that his wife, who was my direct relative, had sadly passed away, and she had left behind a whopping inheritance of $2 million just for me. Now, you might be thinking, Steve, this sounds like some elaborate scam. And trust me, I had my doubts too. My initial reaction was pure disbelief. I hadn't been in contact with my family for so long. I'm ashamed to admit that I didn't even know if they were still alive. So naturally, I questioned the realness of the message. I fired back a response demanding proof, thinking this was some sort of cruel prank or a scam artist trying to get their hands on my hard-earned cash. But you know what? He provided the evidence. The official documents, the legalities, everything checked out. I couldn't believe my eyes. It was as if fate had thrown a curveball my way and I had hit a home run. The weight of this sudden fortune hit me like a ton of bricks, and I found myself dropping to my knees, sobbing uncontrollably. I mean, think about it. I was getting by, earning a decent amount, but still I was feeling a bit suffocated by financial stress every now and then, as one normally does. And now, in one fell swoop, I had the chance to change everything. I literally became an overnight millionaire. The emotions that washed over me were immeasurable, to say the least. I was overwhelmed with a mix of emotions from shock to disbelief to sheer gratitude. Word travels fast in a small town, y'all, and before I knew it, news of my impending millionaire status spread like wildfire. It seemed like everyone and their mother was suddenly interested in my life. People I hadn't talked to in ages were coming out of the woodwork looking for their own slice of the pie. Amidst all the craziness and attention, I needed some time to really think about what this meant for me. Money can be a double-edged sword, you know. It can bring happiness, but it can also mess things up. So I had to be careful about how it would affect my life. Sure, the idea of being financially free was tempting, but I knew from experience that money doesn't guarantee happiness. Hold on tight, guys, because here comes the twist. I was just doing my thing, enjoying my freedom in a separate house when out of nowhere, I got a call from none other than my ex-mother-in-law. Naomi wasted no time and got straight to the point. "Steve, I hear you're about to become a millionaire. Is that true?" I could practically hear the dollar signs dancing in her eyes over the phone. Naturally, I was skeptical. "Oh, come on, Naomi. Are you telling me you're calling just because of my upcoming wealth?" Unsurprisingly, Naomi acted like nothing was wrong and invited me over for a family dinner. Can you believe it? She said she missed her dear sister-in-law and thought it'd be nice to have one last get-together before we split for good. Eye roll. I mean, come on. I had already told both Tina and Naomi that our relationship was beyond fixing. Divorce was happening and there was no going back. So, of course, I just chuckled at how ridiculous it all sounded and gave my reply. "Naomi, let's be real here. Tina and I are getting divorced. Why would you want to throw a family dinner?" So there I was, turning down Naomi's invite to the dinner, but she just wouldn't take no for an answer. She was playing the sentimental card like a pro, trying to get me to join them. She made it sound like this dinner would be all nostalgic and full of cherished memories. I could practically see her sneaky grin through the phone, knowing she had hooked me with that bait. It was a tough call, you know. Part of me wanted to avoid all the drama and manipulation, but another part wanted closure and to face that toxicity head on. In the end, curiosity got the best of me. Against my gut feeling, I reluctantly agreed to attend the family dinner. I just couldn't resist seeing how far Naomi would go to get her way. So I showed up to the dinner, and it's like I'm some kind of superstar. Tina's whole extended family is all over me, clapping and showering me with attention. It's like I hit the lottery or something. Well, technically I did, I guess, depending on how you look at it. And then there was Naomi smirking like a cat that got the cream. She walks over, putting on that fake sweet voice of hers. Oh boy, I knew I was in for something crazy. "Well, well, well. Steve, my boy, look at you. Quite the catch, aren't you?" I could smell the deceit from a mile away. But I didn't play along, raising an eyebrow to show I wasn't buying her act. All right, folks, hold the phone, because Tina, my ex-wife, stormed in like she owned the place. Our eyes met and something was going on, though I couldn't quite figure it out. Was it regret? Longing? Who knows, but I wasn't falling for her mind games. We all gathered around this fancy dining table feeling like some messed up royal family. The air was thick with fake smiles as we dug into a feast fit for kings. Everyone was toasting and chatting politely, but I could see the hidden agendas lurking underneath it all. The taste of sweet revenge lingered as I navigated through small talk and phony niceties. As the night went on, I somehow became the center of attention, the life of the party. People hung on my every word, laughing like I was some kind of comedy genius. It was crazy how money changed things, turning me into the golden child. But deep down, I knew it was all smoke and mirrors. Money revealed people's true colors, and I could see greed and envy creeping in. But amidst all the glitz and glam, there was this bitterness creeping in. This newfound fortune felt hollow, reminding me of how shallow human interactions could be. I couldn't help but wonder if it was all worth it. All right, now get ready for the juicy part. Naomi, that conniving mastermind, cornered me in the bathroom like a predator. She had this sly smile on her face as she pitched her grand plan of reconciliation. Steve, darling, I just wanted to say, Tina really misses you, and I miss you too. Oh boy, here we go again with the sweet talk. She started going on and on about how the distance had cleared up some things for Tina and her, and they all of a sudden realized that I was actually good for Tina. But little did Naomi know I wasn't about to fall for her tricks. I saw right through her desperate act, all the sugar-coated words and false promises. It was time to turn the tables, to play my own game of manipulation, so I played along, nodding and feigning interest in her remarks. So instead of telling her to kick rocks, I had this mischievous idea. I decided to get back together with Tina, but with a twist. I wanted to take control for once, make a grand announcement that would catch everyone off guard. I told Naomi to gather the whole family and bring them to the dining table. She thought she had won, but little did she know about the master plan I had brewing in my head as she hurried off. I couldn't help but smirk to myself. It was gonna be epic. So there I was, sitting at the table enjoying all the curious glances and whispers from my ex-in-laws. They had no clue what was coming. And then the big moment arrived. Naomi led everyone back to the table, all excited. I stood up, took a deep breath, and raised my glass, grabbing everyone's attention. Ladies and gentlemen, I have an announcement to make. Everyone hung on to every word I said, practically hovering off their seats. I know you're all thinking about my relationship with Tina and whether or not there's a chance for us to rekindle what we had. Well, I'm excited to announce that I'm single. The room was filled with disappointed sighs and confused murmurs. They low-key thought I'd give in to their pleas and change my mind about the divorce like we'd all live happily ever after, but I wasn't falling for it. I couldn't ignore what was going on, the fake concern they all had ever since they heard about my newfound fortune. So I looked around the table, locking eyes with each one of them with a firm stare, silently letting them know that they were stupid for thinking I'd ever come back. Let's not forget, just a few short months ago, you all either treated me like garbage or couldn't care less about me. So forgive me if I find it hard to believe your sudden change of heart. Naomi and Tina went into full-on begging mode, trying to convince me that they were totally genuine about wanting me back in the family. They were all apologies and promises of change, begging me to give them another shot. But you know what? I wasn't falling for their tricks, and I had had it with all their games, manipulations, and fake acts of kindness. Enough was enough. I'm done with this whole damn family. Despite my shouting, they tried their best to drag me back in, giving me their so-called genuine reasons for wanting me back. But like I said, I wasn't falling for it. I walked away from that house, their cries fading into the background as I took off. It was a moment that changed everything, a turning point in my life. I was finally free from their toxic grip, ready to pave my own way without their interference. And as I stepped out into the cool night breeze, a sense of freedom washed over me. I took a deep breath, savoring the sweet taste of independence. It was a mix of emotions, bitter and sweet, but it was a victory for me, I'll have to admit. From that point on, I made a promise to myself. I'd reclaim my life and pursue happiness on my terms with people who genuinely love me for me. So that's how my story goes. After leaving that messy dinner behind, I returned to my own place, patiently waiting for the inheritance money to come through. The story should have ended there, right? Unfortunately, no. Naomi and Tina just wouldn't leave me alone. They kept calling and texting, desperate to get me back. They promised to change, to do better, or whatever that meant. I had no time for their empty words and manipulative games, though. I had enough. So I blocked and deleted their numbers, cutting ties with the toxic past that had kept me captive for far too long. Finally, the day came when the money was officially mine. It was just as overwhelming as the day I first got the news. With all that wealth, I knew I had to make a smart move. I watched all those horror stories of people who lost their money after winning the lottery, and I was determined to be one of the guys who actually used it wisely. This small town wasn't the right place for a guy with that kind of fortune. I mean, having loads of cash can attract all kinds of bad attention and enemies, so I packed my bags and said goodbye to the familiar streets and faces that used to bug me. I left without a trace, starting a whole new chapter in my life. I changed my name and moved to a different state far away from my past. There, I found a fresh start, and man, it felt liberating to have all those possibilities ahead of me. Now and then, I can't help but be curious, so I check out Tina's Instagram, and let me tell you, it's a trip. She's trying so hard to find a sugar daddy or something to fill the void I left behind. It's kind of funny to see how desperate she's become, chasing after materialistic stuff in a hopeless quest for happiness. Her first traps are trashy, but I wish her all the best. As for me, I'm just chilling. I've come to realize that true happiness isn't found in all that shallow wealth or the messed up relationship that used to haunt me. I found peace in my newfound independence, living a life that's free from their toxic grip. So, take it from me, guys. Money isn't everything. Sure, it can get you fancy cars and big mansions, but if that's all you're worried about, then your life won't be worth living.